Hello, welcome everyone. So thank you very much for joining us for our Home Movers webinar today. We're delighted to have you guys with us. On our panel, we've got Ash McInulty. She's from ESPC and we'll be talking you through a lot of the stats and the overview and give you an idea of everything to do with home movers. We've got Rosanne from RD Legal, who is our solicitor today, who's going to be helping out with all the legal aspects and advice there. And Shirley Mushet from ESPC Mortgages, and who will of course be talking about everything mortgages. So just to give you an idea of format today, we're going to go through a quick presentation where we'll give you an overview of the themes and some things you need to bear in mind. And then we'll hop to our pre-submitted questions. So thank you very much if you have submitted a question with us today. We'll be answering those. And if we have any time at the end, if any questions do arise or you want us to expand on anything that we're talking about today, just pop a wee question in the Q&A box. It should be at the bottom of your screen, and we'll do our very best, if it's within time, to get round to those as well. And I will say we do have a survey that will be popping up towards the end of the webinar. So if you do have a chance, we'd be really grateful if you could fill that out and help make these webinars more suitable for you. So without further ado, we'll get kicked off. I will just share my screen. Okay, it's okay. And we'll kick off the slideshow. I'll pass over to Ash.
Thank you so much, Karen. Hi, everyone. My name's Ash, as Karen's mentioned there. And yeah, welcome. If you're looking to move or buy your next home, then you are definitely in the right place. So today we're going to be covering a lot. As Karen mentioned, we're going to have some questions at the end. But before we do, we're just going to talk you through a little bit about what's been happening in the property market over the last quarter. So I'll run through some kind of key line stats about that. I'm then going to pass you over to Rosie and to Shirley as well. We'll just give you a little bit of background about how they can help you along your journey. So without further ado, I'll just dive straight into the stats, Karen, if that's okay. Perfect, thank you. So we're going to cover the stats for the last quarter. So that covers February through to April 2023. And we're going to be looking at Edinburgh, Lothians, Fife, and also the borders. So I think what we can start off by saying is we have seen a bit more of signs of a normalisation of the market. We have seen a slight, ever so slight cool in this quarter, but that has been following years of really high demand and also really high price growth as well. But it's still a really great time to sell, and also if you're thinking to buy your next home. So what I'm going to do is just compare a little bit of the stats back to 2019. That was more normalisation in terms of before the pandemic kicked in. So I will just revert a little bit back to 2019 figures as well. So one of the first things I think everyone always wants to know is house prices and how they are sitting for the last quarter. So currently we have seen a small decline. So again, that's just a small snapshot of time over the last quarter, and they are down by 1.1%. So ever so slightly, and nothing at all to be worried about there. They're now sitting at £267,679. So if we compare that back to 2019, they're still substantially higher. So the sales price for 2019 was sitting at £242,840. So we are still up on 2019 figures. And again, this is just an average across all these different areas. So there will be different prices in each area and each house. And that's why you should speak to your solicitor about that to find out a little bit more about house prices in each area. We've still seen some increases in places like Midlothian and also West Fife and Kinross. And again, it's still really great for buyers and for sellers because it does become relative when you are looking to sell and buy your next place. So in terms of new property listings, so when we say property listings, that's talking about how many properties are just coming onto the market. Again, we have been down ever so slightly by 3.7%, but despite a calming market, as we say, or a bit more of a normalisation, we've still seen lots of interested buyers looking to secure their properties. We are actually up 63% in terms of stock on ESPC year on year, which is really reassuring for buyers and also for sellers. So there's a lot more choice out there if you are looking to buy. We have seen an increase in listings in Dunfermline. Corstorphine was actually up by 22%. Leith was up by 10.5%. So it really is just dependent on the area that you are looking to buy in terms of choice as well. So despite the recent market changes, I think owning a home is still a very good investment, and demand still remains there. So 76.6% of properties have sold at home report or higher, which is still fantastic. And the average property is achieving 102.7%, so 2.7% over the home report valuation. So we can still clearly see that buyers are looking to pay a premium to secure their home as well. If we compare that back to 2019 figures, that was sitting about 102.7%. So again, when we talk about that normalisation of the market, it is just that we're looking more back to 2019 pre-pandemic figures there as well. So how quickly properties are selling, they're going to under offer in 28 days, which is still really, really quick. Again, this does, highlights a natural readjustment of the market. Again, pre-pandemic, it was sitting about 26 days. So they're still selling fast, and we're still seeing that average properties are achieving over the home report valuation. So that is great to see that there. Again, some of the areas are a lot quicker. They vary very vastly, as I'm sure both Rosie and Shirley would agree there. So it really is dependent on, geography, where you want to be. Every house, street and area is really, really different. So it's definitely worth speaking to your solicitor estate agent just to try and get some advice on key data, comparables. They've got local experience and also they're experts in the field. So they can talk you through, if you have an area in mind, they can talk you through all the data and what you can expect if you are buying and selling. So really, just to not bog you down with too much stats, we do have a house price report that has just been released as well, and that's covering the last 3 months. But what I think we can see at ESPC is the market is just readjusting after a really extremely fast-paced market the last few years, where we saw low stock and also high demand. Properties are still attracting a premium, so they're still selling well and they're still having buyers pay premiums over. I think the rebalancing of the market can only be good news for both buyers and sellers. If you are looking to buy another property, it just means that you won't be paying over the odds when you do move, and also as a buyer, which is also really encouraging for first-time buyers as well if you're looking to get onto the market. But what we would say is just speak to your solicitor estate agent. I'm sure Rosie will be able to give you a lot more information on what's been happening in specific areas in the market. And really just to make sure that you get the right strategy when you are looking to buy or sell. We have, again, lots of different ways that you can try and find out more about the information if you are looking to buy or sell. And you can get that through the house price report. We also have espc.com, where you can go on and find a little bit more about each different area and get a bit more in terms of how prices are sitting for that. But we also have a magazine and we do have exclusive properties. So we have properties that come onto our website 72 hours before they go to any other portals. So if you're looking to buy, make sure that you do start with us and go on and get access to those properties. But if you do have any more information, Karen, I think you're going to send the house price report out, aren't you? So we can get that out and that'll give you a bit more of a breakdown by area. All that information I have just covered there. But yeah, I think that is me for now in terms of stats. But I will pass you over to Rosie, who's going to talk you through a little bit about how she can help you if you're buying or selling.
Thanks, Ash. So I'm Rosie, or Rosanne Ogden, and I run RD Legal Solicitors and Estate Agents. So as solicitor estate agents, we advertise properties on ESPC. So lots of advantages to using an ESPC solicitor. So firstly, you've got the ESPC portal. This is by far the best portal for advertising your property for sale in Edinburgh and the Lothians. If you're selling, this is really how you reach the largest audience. To get your property onto the ESPC, you must use a solicitor estate agent. In respect of your purchase, we have up-to-date knowledge of sale transactions from the ESPC portal. Secondly, in order to purchase a property in Scotland, you need a Scottish qualified solicitor. We can advise you every step of the way throughout the process of buying and selling. Solicitor estate agents are highly regulated by the Law Society of Scotland, which gives you peace of mind as to who you're actually dealing with. Thirdly, a solicitor estate agent isn't only going to advertise your property for sale, they can deal with the conveyancing for both your sale and for your onward purchase, so that you've got a coordinated approach there.
Fabulous. And I'll move it along. And Rosie, would you mind just chatting a wee bit through about getting your home valued and why that's important in the home mover process?
In terms of having your home valued, so we can, as solicitor estate agents, as I say, we have got excellent information available to value a property and give you a really good indication of the value. So we can come out there and have a look at the property and, as I say, give you sort of comparable figures and work out exactly where it sits in the market and what you'd be expecting to achieve. The surveyor who carries out your home report, they'll be giving you the definitive value based on sort of their stats as well there.
Fabulous, thank you. And now we're going to hand you over to Shirley for mortgage advice.
Okay, thanks, Karen. Hi, I'm Shirley from ESPC Mortgages, a mortgage consultant here at ESPC Mortgages. Like Rosanne, I can help you with the buying and selling process. I'm here to find you the most cost-effective way to transition from one property to another and can potentially save you hundreds or indeed potentially thousands of pounds. I'd recommend getting in touch with us early so that we can consider your circumstances, look at the options, undertake research, and get you in the best possible position for that move. If you currently have a mortgage on your existing property, part of this will be weighing up whether it makes more sense to keep your existing mortgage compared with moving to a new lender. And I know that some of you have had questions about this in the pre-questions that you were able to send up in. So I will cover this in more detail as we get into the questions and answer session.
Fabulous, thank you so much. So that draws us to the end of the initial presentation. And like I said, now we're going to go ahead and answer the questions that have been submitted to us before this event. And like I say, if you do have anything that crops up along the way, or you want us to expand on something, or anything really to do with property, just pop it in the Q&A box at the bottom and we can get round to that for you. So I'm just going to grab our questions. Now, the first one is for Shirley, like Shirley just mentioned. And the question is, would you recommend porting your mortgage or waiting until the end of a fixed rate term to move?
Okay, yeah. So just to explain, for those of you that don't know, porting is the process of staying with your existing lender and moving your current product to your new property. So the upside of porting is that there is the potential to save your early repayment charge. However, if you are increasing your borrowing, what this means is you have to select a new product, and this can leave your mortgage inflexible going forward. So, for example, if you have a 5-year fixed product and you are 2 years, say, through this product with 3 years remaining, your existing lender may only offer you a pop-up product for your extra borrowing of a 2-year product or a 5-year product. So this potentially leaves you in a position where you have two parts of your mortgage with two different end dates and also the associated repayment charges on them. So if you are able to wait until the end of your fixed deal, it can certainly make your mortgage easier to manage going forward, rather than that sort of leapfrog of constantly having to review your mortgage product at the different end dates. So on that example I just gave, you may have that 3 years remaining and you choose to top up, have that extra borrowing on the 2 years. So you're actually reviewing the new top-up product before the original part is actually due for renewal, and then you're in that position. So I hope that makes sense. Waiting until the end of your fixed period can make your mortgage cleaner, but I realise that's not always the position you're going to be in, and you would want to make that move. So yeah, get in touch. We can go through the options, we can have a look at the figures, and we can take it from there. And obviously at the moment, some of the existing deals that you're on have lower interest rates, and you're saving the early repayment charges, so it is making financial sense to port. But it's then bearing in mind, what does a new product look like? What does a new mortgage look like on increased interest rates?
Thank you very much. And just on that, Shirley, we've got another question about how easy is it to borrow more from a lender if you're upsizing? Are you likely to be able to borrow more since you're already a homeowner?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you're looking for more from your existing lender, so borrowing more on top of what you currently have outstanding, you need to meet the lender's affordability. So I can help you assess your income, your commitments and outgoings to give you a potential maximum loan amount. It's in the very same way as when you originally took the mortgage out. Going through all those affordability checks and application process. There is a common myth that lenders will just move the mortgage over to your new property. However, this is not the case. It is subject to the lender's current criteria and full application. So that criteria could well have moved on since you took that mortgage out. And in actual fact, a port can be a bit more onerous than a new application. So again, I would recommend getting in touch. Get in touch early. We can go through it. We can look at those options even before you've started looking at for a new property. And remember, it's not just you that the lender assesses. It's also the property. So again, for example, you may have been employed when you first took the mortgage out, and you've now since become self-employed. You had a change in circumstances. The lender will want to assess what your income is on self-employment. Likewise, you may be looking at property that is non-standard construction. Your existing lender may not accept that property as security. So again, get in touch. We can check all those things out up front and give you that guidance as to what is possible.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And our next question is for Rosanne. Any tips to help me sell my house as quickly as possible?
Great. Tips in terms of selling your house as quick as possible. I would say the key thing is declutter your property. It might be sparkling already, however. So declutter, carry out any DIY jobs you have. For instance, if it's paint flaking away somewhere, something like that, cleaning out your gutters. So cleaning the property, basically you want to make sure your property feels loved. So clean out your gutters, cut your grass, wipe away any cobwebs, make sure it's market ready.
Brilliant, thank you so much. And the next question is applicable to both of you. So we'll get Rosanne to answer first. What documents do I need to sell my house?
So the key document you need to get your house on the market is the home report. The home report comprises of 3 different parts. It's got a survey valuation carried out by a surveyor. They will also carry out the energy performance certificate and put a rating against it. And then there's a homeowner questionnaire, which you'll be required to complete for selling your property. This gives the purchaser information such as utility suppliers, if there's been any alterations, if you've carried out any works to your property. In terms of if you want to be really organised in selling your property, so that's your key document, is your home report. In terms of being organised, you might want to look out paperwork if you have carried out alterations. So if you've carried out an extension or knocked down any walls, think about things like your building warrant, planning permission, completion certificates. These will all be required by a purchaser. Also, if you're selling on a fairly new property, a new build property, then a purchaser, their solicitor will once again be looking for things like a completion certificate, the NHBC warranty or the equivalent warranty there as well. So all of this will be required as part of your sale.
Yeah, just to add to what Rosanne said there, in terms of a mortgage application, this is where having your details as up to date as possible helps. We commonly see expired ID documentation and essential documents with the incorrect address. In broad terms, what we require for a mortgage application: ID, passport, driving license, passport in date, correct name, correct date of birth, which I would hope it would be anyway. Driving license again in date and with the correct address. The driving license gives us that additional piece of detail. If you're employed, 3 months wage slips, and then 3 months bank statements, full bank statements with correct name, correct address, getting the theme. On those bank statements showing that income, your income being paid into it. P60, latest P60, the 2023 ones are starting to come through now, and also proof of deposit. This is also something that's required by your solicitor for anti-money laundering. So there will be a bit of duplication between what we do and what the solicitor requires as well. But again, I really stress, do a bit of housekeeping before you start to look for a property. We commonly see all these things being incorrect, and it does cause your application process to be elongated, more stressful, more hassle. Do that up front, and I couldn't recommend it highly enough. It can also have a positive effect on your credit score, your credit report.
Fabulous, thank you. And Rosanne, I've got another question for you. How long will it roughly take to sell my house?
So in terms of selling your house, in terms of getting it on the market, firstly, we can get it on the market within a week, roughly about a week anyway, to get it on the market. Then in terms of selling it, we could once it's been advertised, you might get an offer in within a couple of days, as in you have viewers round after a day, offers in the following day. That does happen. Alternatively, it could take months or weeks. Weeks or months, as it could take some time. It just very much depends on the location of your property, the size of your property, and the condition of it. Just depends who's out there from that point of view. I think Ash mentioned earlier, your average time is about 28 days there for getting your offer in. And then, I say, after the offer has been received, you're probably going to be looking at somewhere between 6 and 12 weeks for your date of entry. So the date of entry, you move out your property and purchase your new one. So 6 to 12 weeks after your offer is in. Yeah, somewhere around about there. So you're, for instance, waiting on the likes of your loan papers to come through, and also it can depend if your, in terms of your purchase, if the seller of that property is maybe found somewhere else as well. Things like that can also affect it. So somewhere between 6 and 12 weeks.
Okay, and the final question of our pre-submitted questions, so I will use this point as a reminder. Do get them in quickly if you want us to answer them before we go. I can see ones already came in. So the final question for pre-submitted is for you, Rosanne, as well. Any specific logistical advice for non-cohabiting couples who individually own their own flats but would like to sell both and buy new homes together?
So for selling both properties when you're cohabiting, I would recommend that you make sure both properties are sold before you buy your new property. That will avoid any complications with additional dwelling supplement. So that's the tax on having a second home. So sell them both, make sure they're both sold, or you're tying in your date of entry for your purchase. So that's probably your key thing to do. Another thing you might want to consider is putting a minute of agreement in place just to regulate the contribution you're making to your onward purchase. So in the event of a future sale after that, or how much each party has contributed there. So have a minute of agreement in place. Most solicitors, when they're acting for your purchase and sale, can do this for you. And then the other third thing you'd probably want to think about then is also your will. Say, given that you're cohabiting, you might want to consider your will, review your existing will, or consider putting one in place if you don't have one already.
Brilliant, thank you so much. So we'll just jump to the question that we've got, and Shirley, Rosanne, whoever would like to jump in, please do so. So the question is, would it be easier as a first-time buyer to apply for a mortgage as a single person, or do couples have better chances? This couple is not currently married.
Yeah, I'll take, certainly from a mortgage point of view, a double income helps towards affordability. So obviously depending on the size of the mortgage and property that you're looking for, double income can help towards affordability. If one party doesn't have income, that can actually have an impact on your affordability. Essentially, if one party is reliant on the other, it will drop your affordability. But generally speaking, if you've got double income, it certainly helps. There are scenarios where if one of the party has perhaps adverse credit, that can obviously impact the other one. So it's all very individual in terms of, you know, circumstances. And again, that's why I encourage people to come in and or get in touch and speak to us about those circumstances, because everyone is individual. But in broad terms, double, you know, if you have that, if it is a case of double income and low credit commitments, you can potentially afford more.
Fab. We've got another one that came in on valuation. So I think, Rosanne, this will be your one. How much does it cost to get your house valued?
In terms of having it valued by a solicitor estate agent, we don't charge. We can give a really good indication of the value. Say when we come out to see the property, so often it depends on the condition and location of your property and such. And say there's no charge there. If you want to have a home report carried out, there's obviously a cost there in terms of the surveyor, which is based on the value of your property.
Fabulous. And just on that, we've got a final question through that we'll be able to squeeze in before we finish the webinar. How much does it cost to sell your property?
So in terms of selling your property, for your legal fees, it often depends upon the property itself and the value of the property. You're probably thinking about could be somewhere, you're probably talking around about between about £800 and £2,000, something like that, in terms of selling. As well as your legal fees, the solicitors will have to carry out searches against your property as well. You've got sort of, shall we say, your usual searches you carry out, and then there might be other specific property ones.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Let me see. There's a final one. One last one then before we go. What should I be doing before a surveyor assesses the property? Final question.
So I'd say before a surveyor comes out to assess the property, it's a case of other top tips, having your property ready. So if there is flaking paint and things like that, you know, you just basically want to make your property look as presentable as possible. You know, first impressions do matter. They shouldn't matter in terms of, you know, flaking paint, but have it as presentable as possible before a surveyor comes out to it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And that draws us to the end of our webinar today. We do appreciate that there was a lot of information there. Like Ash mentioned, I will be sending out the house price report that just came out for the month of April with all the up-to-date stats, in particular for different areas you might be looking to move to. So that's really helpful. And likewise, if there is questions that we never managed to fully answer today, or you still have some things kind of going on in your head that you want to ask, do get in touch with us, marketing@espc.com, and I can forward it on to either Shirley or Rosanne, whoever the question is appropriate to. So we're more than happy to help you on that side. And I will say we do have a podcast that has came out today called How to Add Value to Your Home, which definitely touches on a few points that Rosanne added throughout the webinar, and it seems a few of you have questions as well. So if you go to that podcast, that theme is all about how to add value to your home, which is particularly useful if you're looking to sell. When this webinar ends as well, we have a survey that will pop up. So if you could just take 2 minutes of your time, we'd be really, really grateful. And without further ado, I'd like to thank everyone that joined us today and for your questions. And of course to Shirley, Rosanne and Ash for your help. It's been brilliant. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.